This video is for two reasons. One, because I need practice using Loom, and two, to talk to you about the musictheory.net exercise customizer that's been saving me a lot during all of this virtual learning time. So a lot of us have used musictheory.net before. Note identification is super useful. You go into it and it starts giving you notes on the staff, treble clef by default. I've definitely had my students do this before, either with a sub or at the beginning of class, but this range from the low A to the high C is not where all of our students will be reading, depending on what instrument they play or what voice type. And also, this is just treble clef, and some people are reading bass clef. Some people need to be able to read both. There's violas that'll read alto clef. And getting the students through customizing this has always taken me a long time. Some of them get very, very confused. Some of them obviously get it very quickly, but getting them to customize this didn't work very well. And there was no way for me to verify that they'd done anything or what their score was unless I had them take a screenshot, which was always a struggle to get them to do, or go through some extra steps to show a progress report, clicking on extra buttons. And the more buttons you try to have a student press, the more likely that there's going to be something missed. Thankfully, musictheory.net knows this, and they've created their exercise customizer. So in the exercises tab, at the bottom, they have their for teachers section, which has the exercise customizer. And if I go to note identification, I can set this how I want. So let's say I was doing this for a first-year flute player. I would not want them reading alto clef. I'd want them reading treble clef. I would maybe want from F to B or C. Key signatures, no key signature needed. I'm going to turn the accidentals off just because sometimes they see F flat and freak out, even though they should be able to just hit F flat in the exercise. Challenge mode set to on is my preference. You wouldn't have to do this. You could have them just do it the same way that you were doing it before, but I'll show you why I like challenge mode. I set it to 20 and multiple attempts. I'll show you what the multiple attempts does. And it gives you a URL or a link at the bottom to exactly this exercise you've customized. So if I change something like turn accidental on, one letter in the URL changes, so that's how you know it's different for every single exercise. If I open this exercise, it pops up like this. So this is what your students would see if you gave them that link. Start challenge. And it starts giving you notes, and I can click on the letter names, or I can type them on my keyboard. And let's say, I want to give you one with ledger lines, because that's the one that students will guess on usually. So let's say I wasn't sure about reading ledger lines and I didn't know what this was, so I just started guessing every single note option. This counter up here that's keeping track of the score, if you have multiple attempts set up in the challenge mode tab, in that customizer, it will count every single wrong answer as an extra attempt and reduce their score a lot. So even though this is the only one I've messed up, my score is 50% because every single one of these guesses deducted points. I'm going to speed through the rest of this so I can show you about the progress report. Now remember, we set the question limit to 20, but my counter's up to 21 now. That's because, again, it makes you get 20 correct notes before it ends the exercise. So if a student does a ton of guessing, they could have a really high number. Gave me 20 out of 26. Even though that one note's the only one I really messed up on, it gave me a 77, which some people might think is a little harsh, but I like that it discourages guessing. If you hit View Report, which is a big button that pops up in the middle of the screen, always good for students, sign the report to generate a verification code. This is the part I had to walk students through on a video, but sign the report. They type in their name. I like using SpongeBob names for examples because my students love SpongeBob. I hit sign report, and it gives you this code, which is really long. It gives you buttons that will copy the link or copy the code for you. I like telling them to copy the link, and here's why. If they hit copy link and they give me that link and I paste it, it links me directly to their progress report. It gives the name, the exercise, their score, and how much time they spent on that exercise. It also can remind me that they did the right one, because sometimes a flute will click the trombone one and wonder why they didn't do so well. So what I always tell my students is they can take it as many times as they want, and I have students that I know are taking that a bunch of times. If a student messed up and they gave me the code instead, it wouldn't obviously take me directly there, but on musictheory.net's page, because I did have some students send me the code instead, they have a code checker in that exercise tab. You just paste the code in, hit verify, it takes you to the same report. I don't know how long these reports live in here, but if you're assigning the same week and then you grade within a week, I'm sure that they're still there. In Google Classroom, my assignment looks like this. I talked about this is the one that they're turning in. They have a Google Doc that I have set up with instruments so that they know which exercise to click, because I wanted different exercises for different instruments, obviously. So they all have those links. And then I have a Google form for them. Their name, I need to split this into first name and last name because students don't always do that. Class, because I'm using it with multiple classes. And the date, because I don't like to have separate Google Forms every time I do this. So it gives me the date. I can't show you my spreadsheet that results because there are student names on it, but you can see that I would have all the dates there. They paste the link here. I talked to students about Control V on the video. Eugene H. Krabs, let's just pretend I'm turning this in. 7th grade band. What I like about the date on Google Forms is if they click the calendar, it highlights the date for them and they just have to click on it. So it's not too many extra steps. They submit, and then I can see the code and I get all those links. For the 41 students in my 7th grade band, it took me maybe 10 minutes to get all the grades from those reports that I had to go through on musictheory.net. I really like it. And these comments that you see that my class made are all, I got 100%, I got 80, I got this. I even had one student that posted publicly, I got 30% the first time, I need to practice this more, which is almost as big of a win as someone getting 100, the student recognizing that they need to work on it more. And I bet that student will. So this is a great thing that you could assign with a sub, or during this virtual learning I do on the days that we don't have a synchronous class sometimes. I just discovered it this year, so I wanted to make sure that other people knew about it because it is very, very useful. So thank you so much. Hope this was helpful. Thank you for being my Loom guinea pigs.